Hello, folks. How are you doing? I hope you're doing fine wherever you are today. Now, these are presented Tech Stories, and I'm hoping that you are okay. Now, just 2 days ago, we had the inauguration, and I know it brought a lot of discussions, it brought a lot of topics, it brought a lot of things that people could discuss about. And there was so much said during the inauguration process. But now, we're having American Senator Dr. Bernie Sanders talking about there are a couple of crucial things that people of the United States need to be worried about. It's not about three people trying to control the world. It's not about three people trying to control the United States. And the three people, right? But what I feel like it's important what Dr. Bernie Sanders tried to say. Dr. Bernie Sanders is trying to highlight the big social class between the rich and the poor in the United States. And he talks about things like healthcare, housing, ability for higher education, right? And there is a growing gap between the rich and the poor, especially in the United States, where the poor are getting super rich. The rich are getting super rich and the poor are getting super ridiculous poor, right? Now, the healthcare system is super expensive for the people of the United States. Talking about housing, so ridiculous. A lot of things, but a lot of people are complaining about all this because I'm trying to look because I'm a person that I'm open-minded, and of course when I look at some people in the United States, people are really struggling with life, and it's okay because the system itself is trying to make this hard for people. And this is what Dr. Bernie Sanders had to say about the inauguration, or about what happened during the inauguration, because it feels like the most important things that are supposed to be discussed were never discussed, right? What about the marginalized groups? What about black people? What about Latinos? What's their fate in this hard life in the United States? I want us to watch this video with an open mind, and then I'll come back. We'll have a discussion about this. As you know, these are presented in Tech Stories. I'll be back and we'll have a chit chat about this. But until then,
I was at the Trump inauguration yesterday, and needless to say, I disagree with much of what he had to say. But what really struck me, however, is not what he said, which was not surprising given his rhetoric, but what he didn't say. The simple truth is that Donald Trump gave a major speech, the first speech of his second presidency, and ignored virtually every important issue facing the working families of this country. How crazy is that? Our healthcare system is broken, is dysfunctional, and it's wildly expensive. Not one word from Trump about how he is going to address the healthcare crisis. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, sometimes 10 times more than the people in other countries. And 1 out of 4 Americans are unable to afford the prescriptions that their doctors prescribe. Not one word in his speech on the high cost of prescription drugs. We have 800,000 Americans who are homeless, and millions of people spending 50 or 60% of their limited income on housing. We have a major housing crisis in America. Everybody knows it. And Trump, in his inaugural address, did not devote one word to it. Today in America, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had. The wealthiest 3 people in America now own more wealth than the bottom half of our society. But Trump had nothing to say, not one word, about the growing gap between the very rich and everybody else. And maybe, just maybe, that's because he had those 3 people, the 3 wealthiest people in our country, sitting right behind them at its inauguration. And I should add that those 3 people, if you can believe it, and this really is unbelievable, saw their wealth increase by more than $233 billion since the November elections. How's that? $233 billion increase in wealth for the 3 wealthiest people. No wonder they were sitting right behind Donald Trump at his inauguration. They couldn't be happier. During his inaugural speech, Trump did not have one word to say about how we're going to address the planetary crisis of climate change. The last 10 years have been the warmest years ever recorded, and extreme weather disturbances and natural disasters are taking place all over the world, from Los Angeles to India, across Europe to North Carolina. Not one word from Trump about climate change, except, of course, to make it clear that he intends to make this horrific situation even worse with drill, baby, drill. Just brilliant. In the coming months and years, our job is not just to respond to every absurd statement that Donald Trump makes. Our job is to stay focused on the issues that are of importance to the working families of our country, and in fact are widely supported by the American people. Let me just mention a few of them. Yes, healthcare is a human right, and we must join every other major country in guaranteeing healthcare to all people through a Medicare for All single-payer program. Healthcare is a human right. Yes, we must take on the greed of Big Pharma and substantially lower the cost of prescription drugs in this country. Yes, we must build millions of units of affordable housing and low-income housing. Yes, we must make sure that all of our young people have the ability to get a higher education by making public colleges and universities tuition-free. Yes, we must work with the global community to combat climate change by cutting carbon emissions and transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel and into sustainable energy. Yes, we must pass legislation to raise the absurdly low federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour to a living wage of $17 an hour. Anybody who works 40 hours a week in this country should not be living in poverty. Yes, we must pass the PRO Act and make it easier for workers to join trade unions and grow the trade union movement in America. Yes, in order to help fund the needs of working families in this country, we must demand that the wealthiest people in this country, including those individuals sitting right beside Donald Trump at his inaugural, start paying their fair share of taxes. Yes, we must end a corrupt campaign finance system which allows a handful of billionaires to buy elections and move us rapidly into an oligarchic form of society. Bottom line, as we enter the new Trump presidency, we have got to remain focused. We cannot panic. No matter how many executive orders he signs, and no matter how many absurd statements he makes, our goal remains the same. We have got to educate, we have got to organize, we have got to put pressure on Congress to do the right things. And by the way, with Republicans only holding a 3 or 4 seat advantage in the House, we can stop them time and time again if we are organized. Finally, my friends, we have got to fight to create an America based on economic, social, racial, and environmental justice. That's what we've got to work on. Let's go forward. Let's do it. Thank you.
Hello folks, hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. You heard for yourself the stipulations of American Senator Dr. Bernie Sanders, what he said about the life of the United States. And the key 3 things that I took from the video is like, we have the American oligarchs, the 3 rich people that owns 3/4 of American wealth or the world wealth, like the super rich people if we try to estimate. But on the other side, the citizens, the people who are working for the country, the people who are always waking up, the people who are always stressing to pay the taxes. What about them? Because that's the concern of Dr. Bernie Sanders, because he tries to ask this. and it tries to really find out what's really happening with the United States. And I think for the past 5 6 years, it's been trying to talk about this. It's been trying to highlight the issues, the social structures. He's been trying to talk about the social class, the social divide between the super rich people in the United States and the poor people in the United States. While people on the other side of the world, the rich people in the United States, are also complaining that they are seeing a group of people that are against them, that are really mad, that are really sad that they rich, right? Now the question remains, what can America itself do for its citizens, the middle class, the people? Because these are one of the biggest questions that people need to ask themselves. And as a black person in Africa who is reacting to this video, honestly, saying any society has a divide between the rich and the poor. But you look at the uniqueness of the structures that are embedded in the United States system, because this is a country that is being controlled by the corporate, it's being controlled by the elites. They have their own schemes of getting money, and they don't care about the middle class. They don't care, because at the end of the day, you as a middle class person, you will wake up in the morning and go to work, but at the end of the day, they are still going to be getting their money. And speculations, and people are saying that just when Mr. President won, a lot of people, the oligarchs, they have benefited from all this. So what's the fate of middle class people, right? And one of the other things that I heard Dr. Bernie Sanders talk about that I feel it's important, it's education, the United States education. One of the most downlooked part is the American education, especially higher education level. And Bernie Sanders, as an American senator, is trying to raise the issue of we need to increase like the number of students who are in the higher education sector, because the system itself doesn't support, and we people are losing a group of students that could be the future of the United States, the young generation who are in the middle class, who are in the higher education sector, right? Because the fight that he's trying to fight, the oligarchs, he's trying to fight the super rich people, he's trying to fight the greed of this group of people who are in the United States, who are yet to control everything that are happening around us. So I don't know what you feel about this. I don't know what you say about this. But yeah, I'll most definitely like to know. I'll most definitely like to, hear what you say about this, because it's equally important for us to have these discussions. And my points might not matter, but at the end of the day, I'll have to say 1, 2, 3 things. What's happening in the United States, of course, it's not true. It's not right, right? Because we can't have majority of people suffering while 3 people are having 3/4 of the country's wealth and all our own piece of the world's wealth being recorded as there is no problem with them being rich, super rich, right? And all those. And I'm not against that, right? The capitalist system of the United States has made it for people not even to care about the humanistic nature. Something like healthcare shouldn't be super expensive like that, because just recently people in the United States noticed that they have been living a lie. Just recently people are going to the red note, realizing that they've been paying so much for their health services. They have been paying 10 times more. For example, a country like China, they have been paying 10 times more as compared to what people in China are paying. And this is a replication that the extra dollars, the extra money that is going in these services is being taken back by a group of these people, is being taken back by these people who are putting this money in their pockets, right? And so at that point, I agree with Dr. Bernie Sanders. It's not about Trump or Kamala Harris or who and who, but it's about people of the United States. I feel like it's important because people are crying. Life is so hard, right? People are looking for jobs, right? So it's a question. It's just being humanistic. It's not about me talking about things. I'm a human, and I understand the struggles that my brothers and sisters are going through. And so I feel like it is right for us to argue that what's really happening, it's not right. Because if we can try to compare China and the United States, just 2 days ago, Americans are realizing that they are being exploited, and the United States is a scumbag. It's a scumbag that benefits few super rich people. This creates what is called high class aristocracy, right? It's being led by a few group of people of higher class. That's aristocracy, right? So the oligarchs, they will always benefit all from it. But at the end of the day, people will remain at the expense of these benefits. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's important for us to have this discussion, to have these talks, because these are the factors that are facing black people who look like me, Americans with its entirety. Everyone is complaining about the life which is hard. Like, it's so hard, right? So tell me what you think about this video. As you know, this is a presenter Educating Stories. And if you're watching this video for the first time, I'll most definitely ask you to subscribe to the channel. General membership won't really get to what we can offer you. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.